We're here today to explore the history of Wincobank and the Don connection between Sheffield and Canada. Wincobank Hill overlooks the Don Valley. Now, flint from human activity from around 8000 BC to 4000 BC has been discovered on Wincobank Hill. There was also evidence of a Bronze Age settlement which lasted until the late 1700s. Wincobank is thought to date back in name to 1442, where it was spelt Winco, and it was thought to mean Winniker's Hill, with Winniker being an Anglo-Saxon name, and bank thought to come from Old English for mound or hill. Now, Wincobank, along with Brightside, was serviced by Wincobank Railway Station, which was active from 1868 till 1956. Once believed to be a Roman fort, there's also Wincobank Hill Fort, a big part of the local community. Excavations began in 1899, so there was some evidence for Roman activity here at Wincobank Hill Fort, but it's more commonly believed that it was actually an Iron Age hill fort used by the Brigantes as a last line of defence against the Romans during their invasion of Britain. The ditch, which was actually originally made of timber and had a depth of 5 to 6 feet, was also at one point burned. So this site was also the site of an anti-aircraft gun from 1915 used to defend East Sheffield from Zeppelin raids, as East Sheffield was massively industrial. In fact, when Zeppelins did come to Sheffield in 1916, not a single shot was fired, as all the officers were actually at the Grand Hotel at a ball. During the Second World War, it was the site of an anti-aircraft gun again, this time used to defend Sheffield from bombers. However, there was also a searchlight emplacement there as well. Sheffield has an abundance of outdoor and green places, including here, Wincobank Wood. Wincobank Wood is ancient coppice woodland, although it is believed they have been self-seeding for around 5,000 years. There was extensive tree felling taking place during the 1920s, with the last trees felled just before the Second World War to make way for extensive war preparations. Now, there are some demolished places that no longer exist that would have once made up this area. This includes Wincobank Hall, which was built by 1726, destroyed by 1925 at the bottom of Newman Road. Wincowood Lane cottages, which were built around 1600 and destroyed by the early 1970s. And finally, Wincobank Castle, which actually was a decorative piece designed by George Parkin, which was also destroyed by the 1970s as well. Today you can still see the Upper Wincobank undenominational chapel, Wincobank Avenue. Built in 1840 as a day school by Mary Ann Rawson, you can also visit another lovely green spot around here whilst you're here, Wincobank Common. Before this area became Wincobank Common, it was once an ancient settlement, later becoming Chapman's Tip, a dumping ground for steelworks waste. Now, nowadays, it is a lovely rural space for people to come and play and enjoy nature, so you would never believe that there was once a fire burning underneath here with ventilation shafts for toxic gas removal. Now, this area, like a lot of northern England, was under the rule of Cartimandua, a fierce Brigante queen, one who led her troops into battle and one who openly accepted Roman rule. Wincobank Hill overlooks the Don Valley, a symbol of sport, industry and life for Sheffield. The River Don flows for 69 miles through the Don Valley. It originally joined the Trent until it was re-engineered by Cornelius Vermuyden, a Dutch engineer who introduced Dutch land reclamation to England. It was called the Dutch River in the 1620s. The name Don comes from the Brittonic word, which was a Celtic language, Dana, which actually came from the root Dane, meaning water or river. The Celtic goddess Don or Danu also gets her name from this as well. The Don Valley was the centre of Sheffield's world-famous steel industry, predominantly in the 1800s and 1900s. It was also home to the Don Valley Stadium, which opened in 1990 and closed in 2013. Now it is a centre of tourism. Meadowhall Shopping Centre is in the top 5 shopping centres in England and was opened on the 4th of September 1990. Now the name is thought to date back to the 1300s, where it was first recorded as Madhow, later Madow, and then Madhaw, and then finally Meadhall by 1771. The name is thought to mean foolish mound, with madder being an Old English word for foolish and horfer meaning mound. Now, Wincobank was the site of Meadowhall Ironworks, which were operational from 1871 and went into liquidation by 1926. Meadowhall was the site of the East Hecla Works, which were opened up by Robert Hadfield Jr. and get their name from East Hecla, one of the most active volcanoes in Iceland. Now, it was also one of the biggest employers in Sheffield at one point, employing 15,000 people in 1918, and it found fame worldwide until it closed in 1982. Now, whilst Meadowhall is a centre of tourism, it's not the only centre of tourism here, as there is also Valley Entertainment, which was opened up by 1998 on the site of a disused steel mill and is home to one of the largest multiplex cinemas in the country, Cineworld. So what is the Don connection between Sheffield and Canada? The Don River and the Don Valley in Ontario, Canada. The Don River in Canada is named directly after the River Don here in South Yorkshire, as it was named by John Graves Simcoe, who was the first Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada from 1791 to 1796, and he named the Don River after the River Don purely because he thought they looked alike. He also named the Humber River in southern Ontario after the Humber estuary. The original name of the Don River was once Scotanach, which is Anishinaabe, an indigenous language to North America, now Canada, and means river from the back burnt ends. Wincobank has connections across the globe, but also plays a big part of the local community. It is fascinating that this area is so important to the local heritage and goes so far back, and is still being loved by people today and preserved for the future.